It's time to mind your business with me, Jamila Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.
Hello, Kristen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. Today we are excited to talk about your business, Modblu. So let's begin with you introducing yourself and what is Modblu?
Cool. So I'm Kristen Carreiro, owner and founder of Modblu. It's a women's retail lifestyle store. Founded in 2016.
Okay.
8 years later, can't believe it.
Tell us a little bit about the story. How did you get started?
So I think some of the best entrepreneurs are just kind of propelled and pushed, maybe kicked into it. I was honestly, I was pregnant and employed, had my son, unemployed, panic, and all it takes is someone to just say the right thing to you. And someone was like, why don't you just start your own business? And it was kind of like this, oh, okay. And then while my son slept, I kind of just like planned. You can take so long to overthink these things, but you just kind of have to start somewhere. And I was looking up like rental properties, how much would I need to start this? And lo and behold, like it happened so quickly, but with support, people rooting behind me, I managed to secure some money and literally started the business. I have pictures and videos of my son in like a little walker, like around a construction site on Reed Street. Like it just, like my mom said, I just don't like to stay still. Like everything kind of crazy just happens all at the same time, but somehow I figure it out. So just instead of going on job interviews, being like, I'm, have a 2-month-old, but I can start work in like another month or two. I just was like, you know what? Maybe now is the time. This is why this happened to me.
Why don't I start my own business? Let's do it.
So just kind of jumped in and started. Yeah.
Okay. Why retail? Why clothing?
Well, I've definitely always worked in hospitality of some form. So, my first job as a kid was like cleaning pools at Sonesta. I've always been involved in with people. I worked a very short stint, like at a bank, and I hated every minute of it. I actually got fired from that job, which was for the best. I've always been a people person, always wanted to work with people. I think if I wasn't doing this, I'd maybe have like a boutique hotel or something.
Okay.
I was in retail for a while when I lost my job, and so it just felt like a natural step. Like I've been doing this for years. I know how to do everything. Why not do it for myself? So it just kind of naturally evolved from there, which was nice. And just definitely enjoy people and working with people.
I think that's the story for most entrepreneurs, right? Like corporate world, not for us.
No,
not for us at all. But we end up finding ourselves in spaces that we build.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the inspiration behind the name Modblu?
Picking a business name is one of the hardest things. And the more time you take on stuff, the more you're delaying your starting process. So every time I thought of something, I would type it into Google and it'd be like, oh yeah, there's a store in this country. And that might not be important to some people, but I just knew that if you Googled us, I wanted it to be something that's just not going to show up. You're not going to find the wrong website or whatever. So I was back and forth, and it kind of got to the point I was like, girl, you just need to pick something because I need to make an email address. I need to be able to professionally send emails to vendors and this and that. And so a cure for the modern day blues is retail therapy, Modblu, and just like stuck two words together.
That.
It's just, it's hard.
I
it's
like
hard to
that.
Pick a name. So it's random, but it stuck, and here we are. Yeah,
it works. So you started out on Reed Street, and now you are on Front Street.
Yep.
How have you found that transition? Do you like your location? Does location even matter?
Yes, location is super important. When I was looking at properties to start, I definitely knew I wanted to be in a prime location. I could have paid far less rent on the outskirts of Hamilton, But I knew that location mattered to get you the foot traffic.
Right.
So I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going all in. I'm going to pay a stupid amount of rent and just work my butt off, right? And so it was kind of that space, or I think, unfortunately, as we all know, like tons of empty spaces inside the Washington Mall. But I didn't want to be inside of a space. I wanted to open and close my doors when I saw fit, like, street space.
Yep.
So went with that. It really was great for us, served its purpose for the years that we were there. But retail is a tough industry, and I found floating, no problem, but if I really wanted to take off in my business, I needed to get my overheads down, and a lot more spaces were becoming available. So I looked into an empty spot on Front Street, and that is quite a story. Signed the lease to move in there. I signed the lease December 2019, got the keys February 2020. We started construction. I work very fast because I have a wonderful handy husband as well. And then literally we were told in March that there's something called COVID going around, and I was like in such denial. I'm like, there's been bird flu in the world, like nothing's happening here. They even closed my son's nursery, and I kid you not, he was hanging out with me on Reed Street. I was like, here's your books, like everything's fine. People are overreacting. And then moved to Front Street, paper still up on the windows, locked the door, and went home for a month. So April 1st, 2020 was when I was supposed to open up on Front Street, and that was when we all went home.
So how did you manage that? How was that time for you?
Definitely, you honestly need a support system around you. The landlord of that building is phenomenal. So he made sure like to communicate with the tenants and make sure everybody was okay. And then I just pushed. Thank goodness. I actually launched a website in the summer of 2019.
Okay, perfect.
So come 2020, when everybody was panicking to get a website, I already had one. So I just made sure everything was up there. I brought boxes and boxes of stuff home for that month of April. And so I was working at home in April, pushing. And I actually managed to make a lot of sales. We just communicated with your clients and the people who do follow you, that network of people you have. And I was like, hey, please help us out. Like, buy something. We'll do free delivery as soon as we're out of this. We're, take care of you. And even still, when we were all allowed out of our houses in May, we couldn't open our doors. It was like curbside pickups only. So, and my car broke down. So I stole my husband's truck and was driving around, like just everything we possibly could. I was pushing. So I'm really grateful, but definitely having the website beforehand done, and then just constantly persevering and juggling and getting it done. That was definitely, I think, one of the biggest feats within the scope of the last 8 years, just being able to make it through there like unscathed.
But it's great that you were able to pivot. You had the website already, and then you were still able to communicate with your shoppers, right? And get your product out, which is great. Outside of that, what has been the biggest challenges you've faced as an entrepreneur in general?
I think in general, a lot of people, especially we live in a world where, everything's shoved in your face, like follow your passion, do this. Why are you working a 9 to 5? Like, Instagram is flooded with, oh, I quit my 9 to 5 and now I stay home. It's not realistic. It's not for everybody. So we have this snapshot of a world that makes you think if you're not owning your own business and living out some kind of passion, then you're not succeeding in life. And that's not true. So a lot of people go into this thinking it's some kind of overnight success and you're going to make a ton of money and do all these things. And that's not the case. You're working just as hard as you would for somebody else.
Even harder in many cases.
A lot of times harder. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time and learning and lots of mistakes. So really just, if you really want it, don't give up. Be open-minded, and you said pivot earlier. Like, pivot was such a word that was used in the pandemic, and it's something that's so important. You have to
you have to be flexible,
ride the wave, and you really got to have the gumption to keep going as an entrepreneur, for sure.
Coming out of COVID, we are a few years out now. How have you found? Why? How have you found the business? Are people coming back to shopping in person? Is online still something that people do?
I think it's definitely been a bit of a balance. They both play key roles in our business. They both bring in money. I think brick and mortar is still stronger, but we rarely go a day without website sales. So it's definitely something. And even as a marketing tool, people go online, and if they're not going all the way through to checkout, they're looking at everything that you have available and coming and making the time to come in. So yeah, I definitely think that they both marry each other, and it's really important. And I can't fathom, especially a product-based business, if you do not have an online presence. I think you're really missing out on an opportunity for sure.
And that's something I want to touch on too, because we have all this rhetoric about people shopping online, but then a lot of people in Bermuda don't think to shop online locally. And that's super important as well, not only just for our economy, but for our businesses in order to keep thriving, and just encouraging businesses to have that option too. Like you said, they work together.
Absolutely.
It's best to have both worlds. So like, what would you say on that topic for any entrepreneur that has a brick and mortar but doesn't have an online presence? Is it prudent to get one?
You know, yes, especially as a product-based business. If you are a service-based business, even just a simple landing page, it's not going to cost you much. But if you're a product-based business, giving people the opportunity to buy those things and view them again online, again, kind of piggybacking off of, it's not an overnight success. So in 2019, summer of 2019, launched our website. A month in, I was like, oh my gosh, I've just wasted so much time and money and energy. Like, we'd be lucky if we got like one sale a month online, 1-2 sales a month. And I was like, this is pointless. But now that I have it, I'm not going to take it away. But you have to constantly remind people. Remind them. The pandemic absolutely propelled the websites because people had no choice. And then thereafter, sure, there's some people who have used it already. And that's the other thing. Do it well. Once someone uses it and they have a good experience on it, then they're going to use it again. If someone uses it and they don't have a good experience, then that's going to put them off. So making sure it doesn't have to be perfect, but a seamless start to finish, you know, make things clear at your checkout page for customers. So we do in-store pickups or free delivery. So having options for people and just making that kind of a seamless process so they have a good experience is what's going to make them come back. But yeah, you again just have to always just remind whatever platform of marketing, just remind people, because as you say, a lot of locals, people shop online and they don't think, oh, I can shop online locally. Try that first. You know,
try that first.
And at least you know you have those options there, and it's so much easier to return things. So if something doesn't work, come back. You know, so.
You can return it the next day and have your order shipped to you the same day in many places in Bermuda as well. I want to go to your marketing. Like you said, you have to remind people that it's there all the time. What are some of the strategies that you use to remind people?
I think the biggest problem is like people just overthink, like in life in general. Like we are all overthinkers. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. People are desperately searching for more authenticity. You know, just be yourself. Put yourself out there. You don't have to overanalyze the analytics and statistics. It doesn't matter what time of day you post, just do it. You know, like I think we get so caught up in trying to find the perfectionism in your marketing that you just don't actually take the first step, right? So post something, do your best to plan things out, but at the end of the day, like I think a lot of content creators talk about like batch marketing, and a lot of times I don't do that because I don't have the time for that. But if that works for you, that you just have to ebb and flow and see what works for you in order for you to just do it, right? And I think that's the biggest challenge. Literally, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start somewhere. And I think with any business, you could scroll like in the depths of their social medias and see that they've improved, right? We improve anything in life by doing it. So literally, you just have to start. Any time of day, however many times a week, just do it. Like, you know, that's the biggest thing. Just start.
Well, I think that you have a great presence on social media. I see all of the reels that you do. They're very funny. And then you also show off all your products. And it's just a really cool and interactive way that you go about how you market to people. What was the thinking behind that? Or or did you just try it and see what worked?
I think when I found we had like some models, like local models taking pictures, and then obviously we get stock images from the brands we carry. But it kind of came to a point where video, as you know, is just like completely taken over social media. And actually a customer suggested, she's like, why don't you like just try stuff on for people? And I was like, oh, okay. So one day I was like, all right, just went in the fitting room with my camera, nothing fancy, my phone.
Yeah.
And tried stuff on and talked, this dress is so cute, whatever. And that kind of evolved from there, and Reels became really popular. And I'm a funny person. Like, I'm a silly person in all aspects of my life. So the funny Reels just kind of spoke to me on a personal level. And we just started, and then it became entertainment. Like, you can't always expect people to want to follow your page when all you're trying to do is just sell.
Yep.
Like, I obviously have to pay my bills, so please buy things. But it's nice to just create relationships and give people a laugh, and just have a good time. And that, just ended up evolving from there, and having a good time. And I have so many sounds saved, and so I think just having a good time, the fun part,
are what brought me to the page as well. But then I was also introduced to the ones where you try it on, and being able to see the products on you, and you can imagine them on yourselves. You can see how they fit and how they flow and everything. I think it's a really effective way of doing it.
Definitely,
for sure.
It's just all about having fun.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun, then what's the point?
Exactly. What are some of the ways that you select product for Modblu? How do you determine what's good, what's trending?
So definitely some of our values, we want to most of our products are sustainable, female owned, and I go to trade shows about twice a year. There are more, but I feel like 2 times a year is a sweet spot. Occasionally I'll maybe go out a third. But yeah, so staying on top of, and again, everything's about building relationships. So the brands that we do carry, building a relationship with the staff, my brand representatives, with the vendors that we carry, and we become friends, and we talk, and they're lovely because they're going to recommend things. They're not, again, just trying to sell you something. They're like, you know what, Kristen, I don't think you need this one. I don't think we're going to end up making it. And you build that relationship with somebody, going to see them constantly, and just, so staying on top of brands that just are important to us, sharp price point, but still good quality, and we love a female-owned brand. So,
Was that important to you when you started, specifically female-owned brands?
It's definitely something like female minority-owned brands, I think, is a great thing to do. We have some male-owned brands in our store, which is fine, but all good people. Things that you want to feel good about. We live in a very fast fashion world, and that's just not what we want to push. Something that's still attainable, but good quality, which is important.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You've talked about being a mom and starting the business when you were pregnant. How does that influence how you run your business, and how do you balance being a mom and working?
There's no balance, so it's not possible. Honestly, you need a village of people. You need help. I've had some really great team members with me. I currently have great team members with me. My family's amazing. It's just, you can't do it on your own, and you just have to accept that there literally is no balance. You just got to roll with it. It's like surfing a wave. Some weeks I do way more at work than I do for my family, and other weeks I just have to do way more for my family than I do for work. And you just kind of have to accept that ebb and flow, and roll with it. And again, not overthink, just... some days it's like a 5-star meal on the dinner table, and other days it's chicken nuggets again, So, honestly, just rolling with it.
Well, one thing I love is that you're transparent about that on your platforms, right? Like, you've posted, hey, my kid has something at school today that I really want to be there for, so we're going to close early. And I think that's relatable. It's relatable to all of your shoppers, to all people that are moms and things like that. And so being transparent about the fact that, hey, I'm not just business owner, I'm not just Modblu, but I'm mom too, and you just make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Thanks, girl.
Can you share some tips to aspiring entrepreneurs that are looking to get into the retail business, or even just looking to step their foot into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've touched on this a couple of times, but just so important not to overthink. I love a to-do list. I'm a pen and paper gal. I'm trying to be better at putting it on my phone instead, but I just love pen to paper. We can get so caught up in the business plan, in the to-do list, all the things you want to do before you're ready to start. And a lot of times that's actually what holds people back.
Yeah.
You just have to begin somewhere. Definitely have a plan, write things down, but then start. You know, when I opened the business, the racks were not full. They were as full as I could get them at that point. And again, like over time, you have to give yourself space to evolve. If you sit here and say, I'm not going to start until I have this absolutely perfect plan, then where's the evolution from there, right? You're going to make mistakes. That's how we learn in life and on entrepreneurship. You've got to make mistakes and be like, okay, I'm not going to do that ever again, you know?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so just don't focus so much on perfectionism. Find a plan, start there, but just make that first step and start. And again, transparency, just, hey, we've just started out, but this and that. And, you know, even to this day, it'd be people come in and I'm like, oh, we're getting another shipment next week. Or, you know, just talking to people and just starting somewhere. So whether it's in retail or anything else, really just get started, and the rest is just going to roll after that, for sure.
Absolutely. What can Bermuda expect from Modblu in the future? Any new things, exciting announcements?
I know, right? I feel like I'm in a place of contentment right now.
Okay.
I think the move certainly helped with a lot of things. And we recently, been a couple the end of last year, we made updates to the website. So definitely always having an open mind for evolving. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good. We have had, you know, retailers in any kind, even like grocery stores, right? And I'm sure restaurants have felt like there is a dip, which is okay. You can still be successful with less people on the island. You just have to know the right thing to do. It's so easy. I hear a lot of people just all we want to do is complain, but complaining doesn't do anything, okay? So let's just take a step back. What can I do to continue to be successful with the changes to our economy? So something simple is just your inventory levels. So there's not as many bodies walking in the store. Okay, so I don't need as much stuff. You still have to have enough to keep people happy, but not too much where all your cash is tied up in dresses, you know? So it's just been a pivot of like balancing, which has been fine. But I think right now I'm kind of content, especially like as a mom. My kids get into a certain age where I'm like, oh my God, he's getting so big. Like I feel like he's not going to want to hang out with me. So maybe in a couple years when he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore, then there's opportunity there. But I 100% always have an open mind. I cannot believe. So I moved in 2020 to the space on Front Street. It's literally going to be 5 years in the new year.
You've got to celebrate
in like
somehow.
6 months, 5 years in that front space. Like it's wild. So just kind of, we did a small renovation in that space already. So just constantly being open-minded to what's next for me and what kind of naturally evolves. I think a lot of people do nag me to do like teenage clothing, children's clothing, men's clothing, and I'm like, okay, well, you want me to open up a department store? So we'll see. But so I'm definitely open-minded to what is next. But just kind of riding it out as we are right now and feeling good about it.
I love that. What's been the most rewarding experience?
I mean, getting through the pandemic was pretty great. But I think
that's huge.
Right? I think even just like every day you have something, right? Like I feel so blessed to have met so many different people, worked with so many different people, and the relationships that we build. So people coming in the door, okay, sure, they're just like looking at jewelry and clothing or whatever, but you build relationships with people, and now I see people on the street and I'm like, hey, you know, and it's like, oh, how do you know them? Oh, just from the store, you know? So I think just like creating a community is so lovely, and also giving back to community. Feeling like you're a part of what makes Bermuda whole, what supports our economy, and just meeting different people every day. Honestly, it's the small things that make, I think, the biggest positive feelings for sure.
Awesome. Well, I do want to thank you for coming on. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Oh, keep it simple, stupid. Like just don't overthink. That's my dad's favorite quote. Keep it simple. So honestly, like anything you put your mind to, you just have to start, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And whether that's entrepreneurship or just life. right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just in case, if anybody has never been to Modblu, where can they find you?
So we are at the entrance to the Emporium building, 69 Front Street, and online, modblubermuda.com.
Right. Thank you so much, Kristen, for joining us. Because if you don't mind your business, who will?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamila Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.